Those of you that are Patreon members, we are going to keep talking about backstage and all that stuff. I had a story, and we were the one that I was teasing with Chevelle is we did a bunch of tours with Chevelle. Those guys were great guys. We had a lot of fun. And their first when they first started, Sam, Pete, and then they had a bass player, Joe, who is their younger brother, fought constantly. Joe was always riding in our tour truck because he was always in a fight with Pete and Sam. And so I remember at one show when we talk about having like the little green room and all the food backstage and all that stuff. I remember standing on the side of the stage and Chevelle's doing their thing and they're rocking and I'm standing by the bass cab. And Joe looks over at me like in between a song and he goes, "Dude, will you go get me a Coke or a Pepsi? Like I'm dying of thirst." I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I turn around, I go back into the little green room. When I walk in there, there's the cooler full of Pepsi. And there's also on the table a big bowl of black olives. And so I thought, instead of getting him a glass of Pepsi, what I'll do is I'll take a plastic cup and I'll fill it with ice. And then I'll pour the black olive juice into the cup instead of Pepsi.
It's very hydrating.
Yeah, the black olive brine. And so I take it out, and he's in the middle of the show. I'm like, "Here you go." He's like, "Yeah, just put it on the bass cab." And so I set it down there, and I'm just like watching, like just trying to keep a straight face. And you guys, these are the stupid things that you do on tour because every day is so monotonous that something as simple as replacing Pepsi with olive juice seems like it is the funniest thing in the world. And so I set it up there. The song, he's dripping with sweat. Joe never played with a shirt on. It would be on for the first song, and then after his shirt was off. So he's dripping with sweat, and he's dying for that Pepsi. And he picks it up, and it looks like Pepsi. It's dark liquid with ice. And he just, the biggest chug. I think in his mind, he was like, for like a split second, I think in his mind, he was like, I'm gonna just chug this whole thing to show Joe like how thirsty I was. This whole thing is going down.
For you being a servant.
Exactly. And he lifted that thing up and he got a good 3 gulps down his gullet before he realized something was amiss and was like, "Oh," like he was like, he almost puked on stage. He was like, "Ugh." He's like, "What is this?" I was like,
you said you wanted
in it? Yeah. I was like, exactly. He's like, "What did you do?" I go, "You said you wanted black olive juice, right?" He's like, "No, I said I wanted Coke or a Pepsi." I was like, "Oh, I thought you said you wanted olive juice." And he's like, "You're an idiot." And so that was like a pretty good fun prank dealing with the food. But I do have one more like band fight that happened backstage. And enough time has passed and we have this band that we got in a fight with. We've made up. So I'm friends with the guys. They all know that this has happened. So it's not really a big deal. But when we went out on a tour with Plank Eye, and Plank Eye had just come off their tour with like Audio Adrenaline or the Newsboys or something like that. And so Plank Eye had kind of like cracked into like the upper echelon of like Christian music. And
that was like the point they were like the flagship act at Tooth and Nail.
Correct.
Like right then.
Yeah. And they were great. I mean, I love Plank Eye. To this day, their Relocation album, I freaking love. Absolutely love. There's a song on there that I have like in my will that I want played at my funeral. Like, I mean, wow. I think Plank Eye is fantastic. So anyway, they come off this big tour and they're thinking like, all right. And the way things were back then, guys, if to know how things worked, was you built up and you did the club scenes, you did that, and then you got like a little bit bigger, and then you started doing like theaters, and you got a little bit bigger and started doing like, larger, auditoriums and whatnot. And then you would attach yourself to the old way, that the old school way that record labels and management worked, was you would then book when you got too big for your britches, like when you became like a big fish in a small pond, you would attach yourself to a larger band, and then you would expose yourself to their fan base,
Correct.
So you'd stand up in front of Audio Adrenaline's fans, and you'd pull down your pants, and you'd expose yourself. And so you would do this, and you would get out in front of their fans. So maybe people who had never listened to you, those youth group kids, or just another band, just their fans that had no idea who you were. Then obviously, hopefully you could create a fan, and then the next time you came through town, they would attend your shows. So that's what people did back then. So Plankeye goes out, and they tour with like Audio A or Newsboys or something. So they kind of come back as like, okay, we were this big fish in a small pond. Now we've kind of gone there, and that's where we want to go, and that's where we're tracking towards. So this was like their big first tour that they were doing after that. So their first big headlining tour. And so it was, I think, Morella's Forest opened, and then it was us, and then they would headline every night.
It's a cool lineup. That's a cool show.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed like the guys from like Morella's Forest and stuff. Well, this was also in the 90s when the Atkins diet had hit the scene. And
I do remember you guys were very much into the Atkins diet.
Yeah, there were guys in our band that were very much into the Atkins. Prior to any of us partaking in this Atkins diet, the guys from Plankeye did. They were like the first people I ever knew that did Atkins.
Okay.
So after one of our shows with them, things had kind of been rocky when we went out on tour. There were like little backstagey things that were just kind of weird that, we were like, oh, if this is what we knew we were getting into, we wouldn't have done this, and, different things like that. And so, and again, it wasn't Plankeye. It wasn't the men in Plankeye. It was like management, and management kind of made these things weird. But anyway, what I'm about to tell you now, these are the men. So Eric, Scott, all those guys. So we play a show, and after the show, the place gets 3 party subs from Subway. So there's 3 6-foot subs. So there's 18 feet of sub sandwich ready. Plenty of food for everybody. So we go and after the show, like we're all cleaning up, and we're at our merch booth, and we're doing all that stuff. Well, Plankeye didn't. Plankeye had like merch people. And so we go back after like they've, got everybody out. The show's officially over, and now it's just kind of that chill after mode for kind of the bands. We go to get our sub, then there was like a sub for everybody, each band.
Yeah.
Plankeye had gone in there and taken all the meat off of all the subs, and was just like, yeah. So all the meat that was on the subs, they took it all off, and they had plates full of all the meat and cheese.
What a dick move.
Yeah. So then we get down there, and
you're not going to notice? Oh, cool. Thanks for the bread and lettuce.
Yeah. So their thing was, they were like, well, you can eat that stuff. Like, you can eat the bread and the lettuce and the tomatoes. You can eat that. It's just a veggie sub. And I'm like, I don't eat anything veggie. Like, like what you have on your plate needs to be in my sandwich. And they're like, no, but that's not fair, because we can only eat the meat and cheese because of our diet.
Dude.
Yeah, they're like, because of our diet, that's all we can eat. You guys can still eat that. So it might not be optimal for you guys. It might not be what you want, but you can still fill your bellies with bread and lettuce and tomato and all that stuff.
Also, I'm going to point out that there's other things at play. They probably charged you guys to go on tour with them, right? Did you have to pay?
I don't remember that.
Your label?
If that ever happened, I was unaware of it. To my knowledge, we did not pay to go out with Plankeye.
So one, I'm going to put this disclaimer out. Like a lot of times these decisions were made by your management or your label, and bands didn't have anything to do with it. However, you hired those guys. You hired your manager. You should have known. And a lot of bands, and I know Plank Eye for one, when 7 Day Jesus went out with them, we had just joined 5 Minute Walk. We were out on our first tour, and I remember Frank telling us Plank Eye charged them 30 grand to go out with them.
Ooh.
And limited their merch, so they only got to sell like 2 t-shirts. They told them what to sell them for so that they matched the prices.
Yeah.
They got like, you can sell 2 t-shirts, an album, 1 sticker. And, you know, and you're paying to be on this tour instead of them paying you. So those guys were making their gas money and their food money off of that 2 t-shirts they were allowed and their sticker, because Plank Eye didn't want them to take away from their business.
Yeah. No.
So
yeah,
that was probably happening.
That was happening. That was happening. I don't remember ever saying we had to pay to play, because that wouldn't have flown like the way we are. If that would have come up. So if the label did that, they never told us, and that just happened without any of us knowing.
Just put it on your recoup. KMG was like, yeah,
maybe
put on their album sales.
Yeah, but I have no clue. But the other stuff you said, is correct. So we started off, and then so when the tour started and we like set up our merch, like we had, I mean, you remember like how merch tables were like in the 90s, like it looked like Cornerstone, you know, you had 20 shirts, you had the plastic bodies figures that had the shirts on them. So we had all that. And I remember we were like 4 shows in, and you know, at the end of the night, you do your merch count, you do all that stuff. And the tour manager like knows how much everybody's bringing in. And we were bringing in considerably more than Plank Eye. And so our number 1 shirt was that Rodman shirt that we talked about, that orange Rodman shirt. And so Plank Eye's like management, like tour manager went to our tour manager and was like, hey, you guys got to stop selling that orange shirt. And we're like, what do you know, our guy's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, your orange shirt is selling like 6-1 over the Plank Eye orange shirt. And that's like Plank Eye's tour shirt. Like that's the big shirt that they're pushing, and that's what they bought the most of for this tour. And we were like, oh, sorry. And so we sold all our shirts. Again, we always went with like the less than Jake thing. You know, we tried to sell our shirts for $10-12, you know, make a little bit of money off of them, but, you know, not gouge people.
It's free advertising for your band.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, seriously, it's such a cool thing to sell cheap shirts.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they told us like, hey, you can't sell shirts for $10. You can't sell shirts for $12. And they had just gotten off of tour, like I said, with like Newsboys. So they're selling their shirts for $30, $35. So they tell us that we have to up our prices in the 90s. And their management tells, you know, us that we got to do it. We're like, absolutely not. Like, absolutely not. They're like, no, you got it. And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, you know, so like our tour manager like comes to us and is explaining these things. And I'm like, heck no, like this ain't happening. And so for like the next 2 days, there was nothing but tension between like the insiders and Plank Eye. Like, I mean, we kind of talked and stuff, like, you know, sound checks and stuff like that.
This is after the t-shirt thing or after the meat thing?
So the meat thing, like, that's like...
this is before the meat thing.
No. I think the meat thing, like, happened within, like, the first couple days of tour. No, it kind of all kind of happened at the same time, I think.
Jeez.
Yeah. And so, anyway, they're arguing with us that we're doing this. And we're like, no, it's not in the contract. Like, it's not in the contract. So our tour manager pulled out the contract, was like, it's nowhere in here where it says this. And they're like, well, we know, but we're starting this now. Like, this is what we want now moving forward. And we're like, absolutely not. This is the contract. This is what we're going off of. And so we had, I think we we always had like a $10 shirt. Like we always had a shirt that was like, that we bought for very cheap. The material was cheap on it. It was just like a one color, one panel kind of thing. So if you were a kid and you came to the show and you couldn't afford, whatever, you could afford this $8, whatever t-shirt.
Yes, we had the same.
Yeah. And so then, it was like $8 and then everything else was like 10, 12, 15. And then like maybe a hoodie was like 25 or 30. And so, so we went through this fight with Plank Eye about this stuff. We went through this fight like about the meat, like them eating like all the meat. And then like after every single night, there was like food of some sort. And they were doing the same thing. Like they would take the meat, they would do whatever. And I was just getting pissed. And we're like a week in. So after one night, after one show, I'm like livid. They had, and then like a week in, probably a week in, it gets to the point where then they start coming at me because they're like their management wants to have a meeting with me because after the show, so we played in the middle. It was Morales Forest, us, and then them.
Right.
So we would finish our show and then like we would go out to our merch booth or we'd hang out in the crowd. And so Plank Eye's management was mad that when we went out to our merch booth, all the kids would go out to the merch booth to like talk to us, to get signatures, to do all that stuff. And they were leaving where Plank Eye was playing, so Plank Eye was playing for less people because we were taking, hundreds of kids out in the hallway or whatever. So my comment to him was, well, if Plank Eye was any better, then the kids would stay in and want to listen. It was something stupid I said. Yeah, so it was something stupid I said.
Right reason.
Yeah. So I said,
just be better, play better.
So be better, and then the kids won't want to miss that song. So that didn't go over well. So one night after the show, I get called. It was like a mafia meeting. I think it was me and then Johnny, our tour manager, got called onto, because I was the most outspoken. Like I was like, no, screw that. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I was one who was like, you guys are idiots. You're a-holes for like screwing up the food and doing all this stuff. So I get called onto Plank Eye's tour bus, me and Johnny. And so we get on the tour bus and then it's all of Plank Eye, like the fellas and like their management. And it's basically trying to get the toothpaste back in the tube. And they're like, Joe, we just want to lay this out and just explain to you how everything works. And they explained to me how like their tour with Newsboys worked and how they had that same like sanctions put on them for everything. And they're just sitting there and they put on this big like timeshare spiel about it. And they're just trying to sell me on, hey, this is how big time band stuff works. And after 20 minutes, like I was just like adamant. I'm like, absolutely not. This is garbage. Like this should have been all worked out prior. And if it would have been worked out prior, we wouldn't be on this tour. And so I was like, we're not changing anything. We're not hanging out backstage. We're not doing any of these things. And they're like, well, you can't do that. You have to make. So then Tim Tabor, our manager gets involved. So I end up, me and Eric Ballmer, like almost come to blows over this, like on the tour bus. Like we're shouting at each other. We're yelling at each other. It created a giant rift in our relationship for quite a while until, we made up.
That's good. You worked it out.
Yeah. And it was crazy. And so what ended up happening was Tim Tabor, our manager, like calls me and is like, and I thought he would be on our side. He wasn't. He was on their side. And he was like, Joe, this isn't how this works. Like, this is a business and this is how you do it. And then when you get to that point, if you guys do it, then the next band. And I'm like, we're never going to do that. I'm never going to tell the next band like what they have to sell a shirt for. I'm never going to tell the next band that they can't go out and talk. And so Tim was just so adamant about it. Like I ended up losing the battle. Like I lost. And so what they did,
hurts.
It did hurt. It did hurt a lot. So what happened was they made it where I was the only one who could go out to the booth because I was just adamant on it. And so the rest of the guys, like Tim Tabor was like, guys, please, please, please. So they would stay backstage until Plank Eye was done playing. But I was like, screw it. I would go out. They came up with a thing where we raised our price to the same price of like our orange shirt to their orange shirt.
Yeah.
We were allowed to sell like one shirt for under $12. Like our shirt, our like $8 shirt. Like we were allowed to keep selling that. Everything else like had to raise to like $15 or $12.
Yeah.
And then the Rodman shirt had to raise up to like $25 what they were selling their like orange shirt for. And so again, guys, just to make this perfectly clear, the beef that we actually had with Plank Eye was over food issues. The rest of this stuff was management and record label stuff. And I've made up with the guys from Plank Eye. And we ended up finishing out that tour and it was fine. But it was like this first week of just utter, like we were like, we're done, dude. Like we're done. We'll leave this tour. Like we've printed off posters. Like we'll leave. This is absolute nonsense. We're not doing this.
So here's what I want to insert on this is
insert.
Both of us
presented by Trojan.
Something into you. Both of us played with general market bands. We played with secular bands. We toured with secular bands. You know, like you guys toured with the Skeletones and you got with Hepcat.
No. The only
Jeffrey's
tour we did
Club.
was Jeffrey's and Skeletones. We would play like spot dates with.
Ton.
Yeah.
Right. They did not do that. Like even the most recent tour we went on with Real Big Fish, they just don't do that. General market bands don't do that. Never happened to us on the Warped Tour, anything. Like nobody said, here's what you're going to charge for your t-shirts and you only get this many, you only get one sticker, and this is how much it costs to tour with us. There may have been a bill for advertising, which they split. Never. And so we heard that about Plank Eye pulling that shit on 7 Day Jesus. And I'm sorry, people, you're going to be challenged to think of me as a Christian after this because I'm going to swear a lot because this is such bullshit. But we heard about it and it was our first tour. Frank is telling us, 7 Day Jesus is going out with Plank Eye. And he's like, they only asked for $30,000. And we were absolutely like, what the fuck? Seriously. Why are Christians doing that to other bands? You know, like if we take a band out with us, please, Frank, do not ever do that. And do not ever put us on a tour like that because we will not go. Like it will go bad real fast. We won't do that to anybody because we're Christians. If you take a band out with you and they're better than you, that's the point. Like that is why you pick that band. You want them to do well. Like I don't want to say Five Iron is why Switchfoot is famous. They're famous because they're really good, but nobody else gave them a break, and we took them out for 2 tours. We let them play half of our set at Cornerstone because Cornerstone wouldn't let them play because they couldn't get on Cornerstone. Cornerstone thought they were 2 CCM, and we were just like, hey, in the middle of our set, we're going to take a break and let Switchfoot come and play our instruments, and they did. That's the kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn or Five Iron's horn, but like that is how the Christian market should have worked and should work. I remember going on tours, and the only times I've ever felt like fighting with other bands or management were literally like I was like, point that dude out to me because I'm gonna punch him in the neck. Was bands coming up to us or their management at festivals or when we played bigger shows, and they were trying to pull that shit. There was a festival we played at Six Flags.
I know this story. This is great. This is great.
The manager for Earthsuit came up to us, and I don't know if Earthsuit is. I don't know them. I don't know if they're good people. I'm not a fan of their music, but whatever. It's cool if you are. Their manager came up to Leonore because she was watching our merch table by herself and told her she needed to take everything down because our T-shirts were outselling theirs, and we needed to stop, and she needed to close it up. And he got up in her face, and Andy and I like were walking around that place just looking to like horse collar that dude and like pull him off the side and just beat the shit out of him because he made her cry, which is not the most Christ-like response, but you just like it's so evil and wrong. And I remember like we had this was so much in us that when we toured with bands, we'd take bands with us and we'd give them this speech. We'd just be like, when you go out with other bands that are going to do this, don't let them do it. Like, you can always come back and play with us. We will never charge you to go on tour with us. We'll never charge you to, tell you what you can and cannot sell. We told Relient K this, we told the W's this. Hopefully they took it to heart. But I remember right after, like when the W's were getting big, they went out with DC Talk, and DC Talk was pulling this shit with them. They were saying, you can only sell this much stuff. You have to match our prices. I think Frank had worked it so that they could sell all of their shirts. But DC Talk wanted them to match prices. And I was so proud of them because they went to Kinko's and they made coupons. So every time somebody came to their table, they'd give out a coupon like, you can have this shirt for half off. So instead of selling it for $30, they were selling them for $10 and $15 until they got caught. And then they would still do things to mess with them. Like Brett Barker, he went the entire tour without showering because they had to share a bus. Like just he would do things just to get under their skin after that, because that shit is evil. It is not. That is not in my gospel that you treat other Christians like that. Like, if the W's are better than DC Talk, Jesus still wins. You should be happy. And plus, I guarantee you those guys were making $1 million a night. There's no fucking reason why you should do that ever.
Yeah. What was the story? No, that's fantastic, man. That's what people are paying for. And the thing is, you can hear the passion. So, like, I this is the Reese Roper that I've always known. You get fired up about stuff like this. I love it. What was the story? I thought you were going to tell the story. It was the Earthsuit one. Wasn't the one that I was expecting. Wasn't there? Didn't you play a festival? I thought you played a festival at Six Flags where you guys took everything down and you sold it out of your van. You were like, we're not paying these prices. What's that story?
It was at Kings Island in Cincinnati, Ohio. And, it was early. It was probably our first or second year of touring as a signed band. And we get there, roll out, you roll out of the whatever. I think we had our school bus by then, but it was like early. And I remember having to set up merch and somebody from the festival coming by and saying, hey, here's the merch cut. So merch cuts, if you guys don't know, a lot of venues take a cut of your merchandise, which means you have to jack up the prices. So if you go someplace and all the t-shirts are $30, it's either because they're taking a merch cut or because the headlining band is dictating how much things cost. Yeah. T-shirts don't cost that much. I mean, they're more expensive now. You get these ring spun cotton ones. You're talking about like a $20 t-shirt if the band is going to make $5.
True classic tees, guys.
I mean, so
high-end stuff.
Thank you, Joe. But back then, you could get a full color t-shirt made if you made them in bulk and you went and you shopped around. You can get them made for $5 or $6. So you could sell that, at 100% markup for $12, $10. You're still making tons of money and it's free advertising for your band. But most like bigger venues will take a merch cut unless you negotiate it ahead of time, which is kind of how we do it now with Five Iron. And when we were out with MXPX, we're just, same guy books us and he'll just be like, hey, they're not paying a merch cut. So if you want them, this is how it's going to go. And they might take a cut off of what we get paid, which is fine. Like I would much rather do that and sell t-shirts for a normal price.
Yes, absolutely.
So anyway, we roll off. It's early, Kings Island. They come up. They say the merch cut. Now, a normal merch cut is 10%. Like that's general. You're paying your tithe to Uncle Sam or whatever, whatever dirty person is getting this. Theirs was 50%. 50%, and they wanted us to charge sales tax, which, we don't do. Like nothing was computerized at that point. So it's not like the IRS was going to be like, hey, I noticed you didn't charge sales tax here at this thing. Nobody cared. It was just them skimming more money. So it was like about, I don't know, like 58% of what you sold, which was the entire profit, more than the entire profit. If we kept our prices the same, we'd lose money. So got in an argument. They were like, look, it's in the contract. We're like, we didn't sign it. And they're like, well, then you cannot play. So we had to have a talk. Should we play? Is this worth it? And there's 12,000 people, 8,000 people.
Yeah.
So you're like, is it fair? Because there's probably kids that are there that got drugged there because they didn't want to go. They want to hear some good punk and ska. Or there's some kids that really came because they like Five Iron. So let's not do that. So we tore down, decided to set up outside of the gates. So we took a table that we had or something, and we set up our merch table, and then played our show, 30 minutes. And then I remember saying on the mic, hey, by the way, the festival is taking 50% merch cut. So that's why we're not selling merch. If you want to, just walk out the gate with your, go get a stamp, walk out, buy our stuff. And the promoter grabs the mic from me and he goes, do you know who the fuck I am? You can't say that shit on my microphone. I'm not going to say the guy's name, but he was like, I'm this guy. Do you know who the fuck you are? And every mic was hot. So
hey, edit it out, but edit this part out. But who was it?
Mike Scanlon was the dude's name.
Yeah.
Just a dirtball.
Yeah.
And, this is to Frank's credit. Frank Tate somehow worked it where he got to talk to this guy who was supposedly a Christian about the gospel and about like what we felt was wrong about what he was doing, and he accepted it and prayed with Frank, and great, good. But like he was ready to knock my teeth in, and still, I think Frank did it. I don't know. I mean, like, I know Frank's heart was in it, but it also was a good business move for him because we did play other shows with this guy, and ahead of time, like Frank did all the sleazy back alley, like, okay, do 30%. How about 10%? You pay him $1,000 less, like just that kind of stuff. But that shit is so wrong.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like
here's the thing. It like, I know you keep saying like Christian, but it just doesn't belong either. Like
no.
NoFX, Fat Mike, the bass player from NoFX, he's the owner of Fat Records.
Yeah.
Not a Christian guy. He's anti-religion, anti-everything. One of the most, as far as like a lifestyle, probably one of the most foul lifestyles like one can live. But if you hear like
read their book, The Hepatitis Bathtub and other stories, read
fantastic.
that NoFX book.
Yeah, fantastic book.
It is, but like if you want to read some weird shit about like people peeing and drinking pee on stage, do it.
Yeah. And that's like what he's into. But when it comes to his business model, like his business model is absolute, complete, like honesty and just being fair. And he looks at it as, if I was an artist, what would I want from my record label? And if I'm a record label, how do I make money, working with this artist? It's a symbiotic relationship. And it seems to be the fairest symbiotic relationship in like the music industry, And so it is weird that, it's everyone. It's just greed, I guess. It's just greed, but who knows? I do have
it doesn't belong in the Christian industry.
That's
the thing. You expect it in the general market. You expect it, and then you're surprised. That was the thing about playing with Les and Jake. They were more Christ-like than most Christian bands, and definitely more, most of the Christian industry. That they had free things they gave out to all their fans. They had a $5 T-shirt. I think they had a $3 T-shirt at one time. They were fair. Like they hung out with all the kids afterwards. They were fun. cool guys, and they never blue mixed you. They never told you what to pay them to be on tour. They never, took a merch fee or told you how to sell your merch.
What's blue mix?
Blue mixing is
I've never heard of this. I've never heard this term. I probably know what it is once you explain it, though.
You cut the subs out. Usually it's cutting the subs out for the opening bands. So then when the main band comes on, all of a sudden you're just like, these guys are good because there's bass. Before they're just like mids, but there's no low end. So that's the most common way. But usually it's just putting limiters on all the sound so that you're just not as loud.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know that was the term.
That was like standard Christian industry bullshit. That happens every tour.
Absolutely. Yep. Especially like at the festivals. We would play like a main stage at like 5 p.m. And it was like we were playing, like it was like the mains were just monitors. And then by the time the headliner, then somebody played at 7 and it sounded a little bit better. And then the headliner came on at 9 and it just, the supertones just sound pristine. So it was always bizarre. We played
garbage.
We played a show. Yeah, we played a show here in Royal Oak. Relient K came through with Amber Lynn.
Uh-huh.
And so Relient K came through with Amber Lynn and they asked us to open the show. Like Relient K was always cool. The lead singer told me at one point, he said that the reason, he probably told you the same thing, but he told me that the Insiders were the reason that Relient K started. He said that they had gone to an Insiders show. They had driven like 3 hours.
He did not say that about 500 Friends.
Yeah. So he said that they had driven like 3 hours to see the Insiders play, and they're driving back home, and it's a 3 hour, late at night driving back home. And they had the conversation like, we can do that. Like what the Insiders did tonight was like, obviously nothing special. And they're like, we can do that. And we can probably do that very good. And so they said that night, driving back from the Insiders show, they were like, we're starting a band. Like we're starting Relient K. And so when they came through, they I thought it was awesome. They kind of paid this like little homage and got a hold of us and asked us to, play like 15, 20 minutes. They were playing this beautiful theater that's in our hometown here in Royal Oak, Michigan. It's called the Royal Oak Music Theater.
Yeah.
And we've played there before. And
we played there with you guys.
Yeah. We meaning you and us. And so they came through, and so they headlined, and Amber Lynn, played in the middle, and then we opened for them. And so we got in there, and, we get in there, we're chit-chatting with Relient K, and everything's like fun and, kind of catching up and all this stuff. And the funny thing about Relient K is when we were going through like our cynical years with the Insiders, we were going through all this, like I'm dealing with Kyle nonsense. We're dealing with all our record labels are going bankrupt, and it's all this bureaucracy nonsense that you just talked about. And it was just getting to like be where it wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
That's when Relient K like kind of came on the scene. And it would be funny because we would play like a show, a festival, and it's like, all right, well, where are we playing? And they're like, oh, we're on at 5. And it's like, okay, well, who's headlining? Stephen Curtis Chapman. All right, who's before him? And they'd be like, Skillet. All right, so we're at 5, Skillet's at 7, Stephen Curtis Chapman's at 9. Who's before us? Relient K. And we'd be like, oh my gosh, like they were like these like little kids that looking back, it was amazing. They were just these like kids with like eyes of wonder. It was like us on our first tour, where everything is just cool. There's nothing wrong. Like you're naive to like everything that's going on because everything is just so fun. And so Relient K were like those kids that you were like, oh my gosh, like you knew that they were going to be like backstage, like, hey guys, how you doing? How you doing? Like that type of thing. So it was real funny. And it was like a breath of fresh air at a time when like all we were breathing was just like stale, like nonsense, bitterness.
Yeah,
and,
it was so cool because they were really excited.
They were really excited. And so when they came through and they asked us if we would, open, it was awesome. And so like we absolutely did. So we show up that day and we're chit-chatting with them, we're doing all that stuff. So you guys, normally when you sound check, the headliner, it goes in reverse order. So the headliner sound checks, and then the next band, and then the opener is like the last one to go. And so
if you get it,
yeah, if you get
which
it,
doesn't happen.
it doesn't happen often.
Sometimes it just gets eaten up.
Yep.
By plugging things in.
Yep. And so we happened to get like a quick sound check. So we go up on stage with Amber Lynn. Now, Amber Lynn, the only person I know in that band is their lead singer, and he is an awesome, amazing dude who's freaking rad and just an amazing guy. Christian, his Facebook is Christian Steven. I don't know if that's like his stage name, like his real name, whatever. But he's amazing dude, such a good, awesome, freaking great dude. The few conversations and time that I've spent with him. Well, their guitar player was that guy. And so as we were getting up, this guitar player for Amber Lynn was like hitting us with like every single, like, oh, are you guys that washed up ska band? Like, are you guys like the old, whatever? Oh, you guys are like you're the fad that's done. And it's like, oh, ha, 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 ha.
No.
And
what year was this?
This was probably 2011. 2012 maybe.
All right.
No. Because it was when like Soundtrack to a Revolution. So I think that was like 2005. So it was probably like 2005, right. 2006. So Amber Lynn's like guitar player is just like, he kind of starts off like saying some stuff. And I'm like, all right, his jokes are kind of falling like a lead balloon, but there's nothing wrong with a little self-deprecation. I'll go along with it. Well, then it turns to like, okay, he's not laughing with us. He's laughing at us. And that ain't flying. So like, he says a bunch of stuff to us. We're trying to like keep it, whatever. And he's just going and going and going. So Amber Lynn does their thing. We do our thing. We sound check. The show starts. We get up and we play first. So we play and we play and we play and we play. And when we're done playing, one of our guys, I don't know who, but somebody's like walking off the stage, and I see the guitar player and I hear him, and he says like one more snide comment as I'm walking by his amp. And so as I walk by his amp, I take my hand and I roll it on every dial and set them all back to zeros.
Oh, no.
So you guys, guitar players spend hours fine-tuning their guitar amps that have 20, 30 different knobs on them and getting them all like, this knob's on 4, this one's on 7, this one's on 4, this one's on 5. And they have all these knobs. And
tuning it to the room too, because they're like,
and tuning into the room,
reverb or
Yep. Yeah. So we are literally switching, like they're coming on stage to start playing, and I just put them all back to zero. And so
this is after you played.
Yeah,
like they were going to play. This isn't that sound check where
this is not a sound check. This is the show is now going. We've just played. We're walking off. They're walking on to start their set, and I just flipped it all to zero. Yo. And so this dude gets up there and puts on his guitar after just like talking so much crap.
Did he see you do it?
He did not see me do it. He did not see me do it. Yeah. So he gets up there and it's like, click, click. And he just like looks and like the drummer's like counting it off like tss, 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 to start into the song. Dude's got nothing on his guitar. Nothing. So not only was the sound down, so when he thinks it's just the volume and he turns it up, everything else is just completely yeah. And I was like, boom. I was like, yeah, that's what old school's about. Call me washed up again, brah. So that was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one.
Did they find out that you did it?
I didn't hide it. Like, I didn't hide the fact, but nobody ever approached me. Like, nobody approached me and was like, hey, did you do this like after the show or anything like that? No one said anything to me.
Wow.
But like, they did the thing where like they kick in and they're like playing the first song and it just like doesn't sound right. And then after, you could tell that they were like, no, keep talking. We got to figure this out. And dude's like, the guy looks like,
the song is all like, bling, 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 bling.
Right. It sounds like you're playing like little kids'
I'm not
instruments.
Into this song like I normally am. Bling, bling, bling.
Yep. Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, but yep, nobody ever said anything to me. And but that was Anberlin. So I love the lead singer of Anberlin. And whenever I see like pictures of their band like now, I don't remember what that guy looked like. So I don't know if he's still in the band or if he was just a hired gun for like that, for that tour.
Hopefully he's not one of our Patreons because he's not going to.
I hope he is.
There goes your $5, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. He was one of our jalapeno subscribers. He just took that away.
That's $20.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all my Don Q. That's it.
No, well, then that should bring us to an end here of this episode. If you're out of booze, then we're done.
Relient K story on a future episode.
Oh,
I have so many Relient K stories, but this one involves Katy Perry.
Oh, yeah, we got to hear that. You don't want to tell it now?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you want to
tell
keep
it
going,
now.
No, quick.
Tell it now. Tell it now.
Well, so I don't know if everybody knows that Matt Thiessen, the singer of Relient K, dated Katy Perry when she was a Christian recording artist. She was Katie Hudson.
I did not know
that. You remember Purple Door, that festival that was like, it was still put on by Kurt Lamping from the dude that did Creation. It was like his alternative festival.
Yeah.
So you do Creation in Pennsylvania, and then you do Purple Door, which was like near Harrisburg. It was like at some ski resort in the Poconos. So it was like our last summer. We were going out doing our last tour that fall, and Relient K, they were great friends of ours, and they had done that thing like where they were just like these bright-eyed kids that would come on, like come see you on their bus or open for you when you played with them in Akron and stuff. And then they got huge. They were huge. And so they had moved past that a little bit, but they're still kids.
Yeah.
So I just remember Matt Thiessen was dating Katie Hudson, and she was backstage. They were all hanging out with us because we're bros. But she and Matt were trading. They were showing and sending pictures of each other's poop to each other. And I remember thinking, one, this girl is gorgeous, but she's a girl. She was like 17, 18, so immature, like you were just like, oh, girl. Like I was so worried about her. And that these kids were like going into this crazy like cutthroat world of Christian rock.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, crazy. But yes, she's so beautiful now.
So
like such a huge crush on Katy Perry now.
So
yes, I just
Matt had pictures of her poop. So not her,
like
so not her like naked, like her poop.
No, her poop. Her poop. Like, and they would show it to you. Like, she'd be like, look, this one was mine this morning. And it had like a curve in it.
Oh,
and
my
we'd be like, this
goodness.
is so disgusting. For our immature band, we were just like, it's too much.
Yeah, you're like, I think it's time for us to call it a day.
I have seen way too much of your poop.
Oh, the end is here. Oh, gross.
That was it.
Well, that was a fantastic way to end this episode. What is it? 11? Episode 11 of the Pickle and Boot Shop, a diabolical podcast. Oh, it's not a diabolical podcast. It's a diabolical brainwashing machine.
Thank you.
So
thank you guys. You can thank us for brainwashing you.
Yep. So Patreons, I hope you enjoyed this extra segment here. Reese and I are always looking to do things and get extra stuff out to you guys because, again, we appreciate every penny that you spend in supporting us. Check out Bonfire for shirts if you want any of those. Feel free to keep messaging us. I know I'm chit-chatting with a bunch of you on Instagram and Facebook. We're going to try and get some Zoom meetings set up with you guys, or some Facebook Live, something like that, just to be able to, again, say thank you and chit-chat with you for a little bit, and see if you have any ideas and anything that you can think of to help this show grow and help this, I always call it a little silly community, to help this little silly community grow. Do so. Again, people have started discussion boards and all sorts of different things.
It's basically a cult at this point.
It is basically, if at a certain point, I think we're going to have to start dating people's wives, because we've gotten to that cult level.
Well, I what I'm worried about is some sort of silver. We need some sort of silver jumpsuit with like a V-neck.
Yeah,
I don't do good on V-necks. Like I never look good. There's way too much neck going on.
Yeah, I got too much like chest hair going on.
Yeah, same. You have tattoos though. You know what? I'll get some tattoos.
Yeah, do it.
Thinking about I want to get a tattoo that says "You Go Girl." In English.
Oh, that'd be phenomenal. Tough. That's not a bad idea at all.
All right. So when we get further into this, I'll do that.
Yeah. A friend of mine yesterday just asked if we wanted to go get matching tattoos. And I said, the only way I'm getting a matching tattoo is if it's just something absolutely ridiculous, like a dolphin on our ankle.
Or a tramp stamp. A pickle tramp stamp.
Yeah. Like have it like a Chinese or a Hebrew word that doesn't mean what you actually thought it meant.